Hello and welcome to Daddy Daughter Fodder.
Where conversation meets culture.
Jingle, jingle, jingle. So, what are we talking about today?
Well, before we get started, okay, we asked if you guys wanted us to arm wrestle, and you guys said yes. We're not gonna arm wrestle. Well, actually, do you want us to arm wrestle? Okay, put in the comments if you want us to arm wrestle. We might do that for you. Move your laptop.
No.
Move your laptop.
This will look like I'm showing off my guns if I move my. Okay, all right.
Well, good thing you have a conceal and carry.
Ooh, there we go. All right. So, is this for? Now we're gonna do arm wrestling, Hollywood style. Okay, you ready? So now we're gonna begin with Marvel superheroes. Oh, we gotta hook our hands.
Oh my gosh.
Marvel superheroes. You're some woman superhero in a movie. Okay, go.
I feel this. Really? Really?
Well, that's the way it looks on TV, right? Oh, you're competing. You're competing. Now we're gonna go to real life. Are you trying?
No.
Okay, start trying.
No.
On your mark, get set, go.
Oh my god.
Okay, go. All right, I'll show you what it looks like in real life. And this is an old guy here. All right. Oh, come on. You're slipping. You're cheating. You see what she's doing? Over the top. Go, it's over the top, Adrienne. Oh, I had to work. Oh, I am getting old. Maybe there's something to this masculinity thing. And not, anyway.
I feel like I was just violated in like 7 different languages.
So what are we talking about today? For real, it's not arm wrestling.
Okay.
I won, by the way, technically. Literally and technically.
Your favorite form of winning is by default. Hell. Anyway, today we are going to talk about a topic that's super prevalent in Gen Z, especially on the TikTok arena. You know that I am obsessed with the clock app to an unhealthy level. But strangely enough, he is like oftentimes in my comment sections, you know, just fighting with people, which I love because they don't actually know that he's my dad, but it's like just funny to watch. Anyway, the point is, we are talking about deconstructionism and Christianity. And how is that working? What is deconstructionism?
Well, you have to tell me. In fact, from what I know and from my perspective, I don't know how it reveals itself or manifests itself on TikTok and other forms of social media, but it's the idea of deconstructing the beliefs and the ideology and the philosophies, perhaps, that a person grew up with, to pull them apart. I think it should be reconstruction, not deconstruction, but
I actually made a video and I was like, I don't know who put me on the deconstruction side of TikTok, but take me off. It's like making me violently ill. And I met so many people that were like, yeah, all of these people were just hurt by other people. They weren't necessarily hurt by beliefs or ideologies. They were just hurt by people. And people.
Do they call it church hurt? Is that what it is?
Well, they call it, no, there's a word for it actually. It's called religious trauma.
Religious trauma.
Okay. It's always about the same people that they tried people, they didn't try Jesus.
Oh, okay.
So that was my favorite part. But there's this girl, her name is Christy Burke, and she spends a lot of time talking about her deconstruction, all of the things that have to do with that. And then nurse practitioner Erin, which I've stitched a few of her videos on my TikTok. And she talks about how she changed her beliefs once she started asking questions. And I'll just see my friends, because my friends on TikTok are much more into going into the deconstruction pool. If I go too far, I'll vomit because it makes me so sick.
Okay.
So I let my other friends handle like tackling deconstruction and stuff like that, because I just have no stomach for it, no taste for it, and no patience for it. And you don't want to see impatient Lauren.
Is it just rebellion? Is that what we're talking about? Are we talking about people who grew up and in the church and then they hit the rebellious stage? Because that's what I'm asked very often. They're like, well, why are your children, or how did your children? Because everybody knows that pastors' kids are the absolute worst kids in the world.
Spawns of Satan.
At least that's what I've heard. Anyway, so they're like, well, why aren't your kids? Why aren't they deconstructing? And you know, they're still young. I guess there's still opportunity for them to lose their minds in one degree or the other. But I heard somebody say this. They said very often the reason that young people are talked out of Christianity into deconstructionism or whatever is because they never were really talked into it in the first place. In other words, they don't understand. They don't have a firm foundation. They don't understand the philosophical, the scientific, the biological, the archaeological, all of those elements that come together to form an incredible foundation. And then they're inundated with old ideas because it's not anything new. Mm-hmm. You know, when people talk about, well, religion was bad and it was horrible and I was hurt by it. No. You were never hurt by Christianity. Mm-hmm. There is no hurt. There is no suffering in Christianity except for the denying of ourself. And I think that people who come to that are going, you know what, I want to just cast off the restraints of morality. And that's nothing new. That's exactly what they said at the beginning in the book of Genesis. We are going to, it says that they stood up to play. And in their rebellion, they had to clear their conscience to do so. So I think that deconstructionism is kind of a reset of the conscience, a reset of the morals to enable people to do what they want instead of what their conscience and their upbringing is telling them to do.
Well, you know how many controversial comments I'm going to get just absolutely from that spiel that you just gave. Like,
No, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
That's gonna be fun.
Because a lot of the things that they're saying and the accusations for this great new revelation, it's not. It's just they're birthed out of ignorance. In fact, I haven't heard any that hold any substance at all. In fact, we should probably at some point do a show on what the accusations of atheism and deconstructionism and those things are. We're not afraid to tackle any of those questions.
You know, I feel like a common accusation actually is that you started asking questions. You weren't just blindly believing a faith that you'd been brought up in. You started asking questions and you started getting ideas and concerns, and then nobody could answer your questions. And I've personally never met a question that you have never answered. I've never had a question that you couldn't answer. I've never had a question that the church couldn't answer, that the Bible couldn't answer, that heck, even though we're living in such an age of information, like information is at the world. I could just Google something and the information's at your fingertips. And I've never had such a generation of ignorance in a world full of endless information.
You know, something that's interesting is I think one reason for that is my introduction to God and Christianity consisted of answering most of those questions on the front end. You see, the mistake that people make is they go, well, Christianity is blind faith. There's no such thing in Christianity as blind faith. There's something to believe in. And, you know, with atheism and some of those other things, when you talk about Darwinian evolution and those things, it takes an incredible amount of faith because there's not anything to believe in except some philosophy that's been made up by somebody. That's another show. That's another show. But we will talk about that. We will get into it. But when we talk about asking those questions, parents and churches, guys, be ready to answer the questions. Now, I'm not going to say that the answers to the questions are going to be the answers that people like or they want or that are conducive to their individual happiness. I'm not going to say that at all because that's generally not the case. But there are clear, obvious answers for those who are willing to reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you'll turn off your notifications.
They've got to tell me when people are making comments to us. Anyway.
Yeah, kind of just to say to reiterate what you were kind of saying, people don't like the answers that they get. And I always say don't ask questions that you don't want to know the answer to. But of course, everybody has questions, and if you know, suddenly they found a cop out, they found a reason to stop, and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore, so I'm gonna find something, I'm gonna fabricate something or another to tear down the validity of the answers that I get.
And we find what we're looking for. That's the truth. So let me just say this in synopsis. Let me just say this to bring it all together. That don't panic when you see these big name people or these influential people coming out and having deconstructed their religious experience on the front, or their version of Christianity, or their falling away. That's what we call it. We used to call it backsliding. We used to call it heresy. We used to call it falling away. A lot of different terminology. There's nothing new here. It's just we come up with these new terminologies to kind of relabel what it is, and I'm going to tell you what it is at the core of it, and I think I may have said it at the onset. Generally, it's just rebellion. We want to do what we want to do. We don't want to do what God wants to do, which is par for the course. Kristen?
He wrapped it up perfectly, so I'm just literally going to say thanks so much for joining us, guys, this week, and we'll see you next time.